Oh my god! Oh my god! Release hype! Duelist is gonna be released! Patch 1.63 just released a few hours ago, and I'd like to go over those changes with you guys. I am Manang, and hopefully together we'll see what these changes will bring and how they will change the game. I'd like to start with the so-called minor changes, because they are not minor at all, and if I don't do it at the start of this video, we might miss it, because they are very, very important, okay? As you can see here, normally at the end of the turn you draw a card. You don't draw a card till now if your hand is full. Now, however, you will draw a card, and this card won't have space anymore, and it will get destroyed. So keep that in mind when you play. If you play really slow, really greedy, you will lose cards because your hand is full, okay? And also very, very interesting is that you will see what kind of cards will be burnt. Now, right now it is that if you mill somebody, you know he's milled, because the deck counter goes down, but you don't see what card is milled. This is very important, because if you see what got milled, you don't have to play around that anymore. If you've already seen 2 Holy Immolations and see a third one being milled, you know, okay, I'm down with Holy Immolation, thank you very much. All the next changes are small changes, really small changes. I will not go over those, so let's jump right to the start again, okay? First of all, we have new generals. 6 factions and 6 new generals. Every faction now has 2 generals, and they are not only visual updates or new character portraits. Instead, these will be new game. They come with new game mechanics. Every general has its own unique bloodborn spell. Let's just call them hero powers, or let's just call them hero powers. So every general has its own hero power, and these will be available on, very important, Mana Crystal 4, 6, and 8, and 9 plus. Also, so it's not that they are available right from the start. Only from about the middle, after 2 or 3 turns, you will be able to gain these hero powers. Player 1 gets it first, and after player 1 got it, player 2 will get it. And you will only get it if you don't have it already. So imagine it's Mana Crystal 6 and you didn't use your hero power Mana Crystal 4, you still are only allowed to use it once. You can't use it twice in that turn. So it's generally a good idea to use your hero power whenever the turn or the turn after you got it, because otherwise you would miss it. But if it doesn't fit in your game plan, don't shoehorn this hero power in there, because it's not for free. It will cost 1 Mana Crystal. So to play that spell, to play the hero power, you have to spend the 1 Mana Crystal. I've gone over in very, very great detail over these hero powers, these bloodborn spells with my bro Zelda. I will upload a separate video if you're really interested in how the game will be impacted by those new powers. Check out that video. But to keep this video shorter, I will not go over these spells individually. Just in general. So these spells are will always be available. As you can see in this sprite here, you don't need a free space in your hand for that. If it doesn't matter how full your hand is, come the turn they are available, it will be available for you. You don't have to free up the space for that. So you always have to play around these hero powers, and that's very important, because first of all, it's important for you to know that these spells are always available for you. You can always rely on them. But on the other hand, it's important for the enemy, because once he sees your general, he already knows what he has to play around. So he doesn't even have to see your cards to know what what your deck will be around. Unless, of course, you surprise them and completely ignore your hero power and build a surprise deck where it would be very cheesy and your enemy doesn't expect some things because it doesn't really fit to your hero power. But that's very fringe cases, right? Most of the time you want your hero power to synergize with the rest of your deck. So yeah, we will see very, very interesting new decks because of those hero powers, just because they are always available. Alright, let's move on. Like I mentioned, the individual hero powers will be discussed in the next video, which will be uploaded sometime tomorrow, I think. And let's go over those new monthly cards, shall we? It's these four, and the first thing to note is they have a new tribe associated with them. They are not minions, they are war masters. So very interesting. Let's wait. As of right now, there are no war master synergies, but maybe next patch or a few patches later there will be some dudes that buff war masters or interact with war masters. It's just interesting to note for now that they are introducing a new tribe. And all these war masters have more or less in common that they combo. They are really combo cards. On their own, they are all less good than some other similar counterparts. But if you can combine, if you build your deck around it, you can combo them, and they will be pretty good, more or less pretty good. So what that means is they are already less good in Gauntlet because they are so combo, because they rely on having the combo or having to play combo with it. So this is probably more meant to be played in Constructed. Let's go over those cards individually. First, we have I'm a little bit put off by the ordering of the rarity, but whatever. Let's go from left to right, okay? First is the common card, the Arrow Whistler. It's a 4 mana, 2/4 ranged. The usual 4 mana is the 4 mana ranged is the 3/2 Fire Spitter, which is in my opinion generally a little bit better because health isn't so important on ranged minions. Their attack is, because you want to be aggressive with ranged minions, either kill enemy minions, or if you don't have minions anymore, just deal free face damage, and in either case a higher attack is better. However, this minion has an additional ability which buffs other ranged minions. They get +1 attack. I assume they get +1 attack as long as this Arrow Whistler is alive and that they stack. So if you ever manage to keep 3 ranged minions alive, as 3 Arrow Whistlers alive, first of all, you win the game, because if you have 3 ranged minions and your enemy couldn't answer them for 3 turns because you had a ranged minion alive for 3 turns, you basically already won the game, okay? But if you can get all 3 ranged minions alive, all 3 Arrow Whistlers alive, they are all 4/4 ranged, and that's just insane. That I can't really see a scenario where your enemy could win that. Not even Magma with Metamorphosis, because he wouldn't be able to kill all 3 at the same time. So this is like a really snowballing card. Play ranged minions, if your enemy can't answer them, play the Arrow Whistler and win even more. On its own, like I said, it's not that great, because a 4 mana 2/4 can't even really trade well against other 4 mana minions, because its attack is so low, right? So this relies on you protecting your ranged minion from the early game, and when they stay alive, this card wins you the game even more. Let's move on to the epic one. It's not rare. The rare one's the epic one, the Golden Justicar. First of all, let's just say that the sprite is amazing. I like this lizard man with this shield here, and the shield is, I think, symbolic because it has Provoke. It's a 5 mana 4/6 Provoke. So let's see. That's a 4 mana body, because it has the same stats as Hailstone Golem, and it just adds Provoke to that. Is Provoke worth 1 mana? Not really. Let's have a look at the ability. Maybe that's worth 1 mana. Your other minions with Provoke can move 2 Additional spaces? What were they thinking when they added this spell? So first of all, provoke. Provoke means your enemies who are provoked can't move anymore. So it's both good aggressively to lock down your enemy so he can't run away anymore, or defensively just to lock down the enemy so you can run away yourself. In either case, the enemy can't move. If the enemy can't move, you don't need to move too, right? If he doesn't move and you play your minion at a space where it's beneficial, you don't want to move away. So giving it more move spaces, the only scenario I think it's really useful is if your minion gets pushed away by either Repulsor Beast or Demonic Lures or whatever, and then you can come back faster. But that's like just I don't know. That's just that's just going for the worst case scenario, and then if that happens, you still have to take 2 turns to come back with, because if it's in a corner and you're in the center, it still takes 2 turns. So that's rather strange. However, this card is a strict upgrade in compared to the Fireblazer. Fireblazer is a 5 mana 5/5 provoke, and the stat distribution 4/6 is much better than the 5/5. Because that single attack doesn't really matter, doesn't matter too much. 4 attack together with the general kills most things, and 6 attack is just so much stronger because it survives more. So if you, let's imagine, if you put Fireblazer before in your deck, you want to have the Golden Justica now. But let me ask you, who in their right mind has used Fireblazer before, right? I don't think anybody, and I don't think this card will see much play outside of Gauntlet. Gauntlet, it might be good, but again, it's an epic, and epics are rare, pretty rare in Gauntlet, and there are many better epics than this one. Okay, maybe I will be proven wrong, and we will see aggressive provoke minions that whoosh around on the board and, I don't know, do some crazy stuff. I don't know. And then maybe we will see, maybe this is just a setup for the War Master synergy, right? Maybe there will be new cards with War Master synergy, and this one is suddenly great. But however, as of right now, I don't think it will fit many decks. Let's move on to the rare one, the Skywing, or the Pokemon in Duelist. It's a 3/3 flying, so it has the same stats as Paradise Wings. It's also a 3/3 with flying, and this one has the effect, instead of doing more, getting more attack, your other minions with flying cost 1 less. That's very interesting, because as of now, flying is like, who cares? Who cares, right? If you want to remove, you use Rush. Right now, everybody's using the cats as removal instead of flying, because cats kill more stuff. Cats kill stuff immediately, so you don't have to play the flying, wait a turn, and then hope your enemy didn't buff whatever you wanted to remove or protect it using provokes or something like that, and then remove. And Skywing, if you play that, it's a 3/3 flying that removes 2 drops. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But you have to wait probably 1 turn so you can play other flying dudes. What other flying dudes though? There aren't that many good flying minions in Duelist right now. We have the biggest one, I think, is the Storm Aratha, the 6/5 flying for 6, which just isn't worth it. It's been around since the start, literally the start of the game, and no deck has incorporated it so far. We have the smaller ones, Paradise Wings. I mean, if you play this and next turn you have 4 mana, would you rather play 2 Skywings or like a Hailstone Golem? I think 2 Skywings, not 2 Skywings, 2, or maybe 2 Skywings and 2 Paradise Birds. I think that's okay. I think actually that's okay. If you play this on 3 mana and on 4 mana you play 2 flying minions, that might be scary enough. Yeah, but that's of course really good against ranged players who play ranged. I think ranged will see a resurgence because of Arrow Whistler, and in Gauntlet at least this is fine if you can use the I don't know. Okay. Let's just let's compare it to, for example, the Golem Metallurgist. Golem Metallurgist is 2 mana, which is easier to play or more important for the curve than a 3 mana. The effect would be your golems cost 1 less. First of all, golems are much more valuable than flying dudes because they just have so many. They are so heavy on stats. And having cheaper flying minions, or do I want to have cheaper flying minions, or do I want to have cheaper golems? I would definitely say having cheaper golems. So if you want to build a flying deck, this is your guy, of course. But even with this guy, your flying decks wouldn't be as strong. So that's I guess what I want to say. I don't believe this card is too good, even if you play flying dudes. But again, it's very early. Together with the Bloodborn changes, this might have some really nice interactions I'm just not thinking of right now. So we might see some crazy interactions. Let's move on to the legendary one. It's another 4 mana, 2/4 body. It's the same as the Arrow Whistler. And instead of or comboing with ranged dude, it combos with Dying Wish dudes. So the effect is Dying Wish, summon a minion with Dying Wish from your action bar. That's actually amazing. I mean, okay, 4 mana, 2/4, that's like a 2.5 mana body, right? And you pay 1.5 mana for an effect that triggers when you die. So you can use this minion to deal 2 damage, or to maybe kill 1 or 2 minions. So that's a really good trade already. And then you summon another minion for free afterwards. It could be like a 6 mana Vorpal Reaver, which would just be insane, right? And there are many good minions with Dying Wish, like Aymara Healer. If you play that, suicide it into your enemy's 4-drop, and you have a stupidly overpowered Dying Wish minion on your hand. This is just crazy. I believe it doesn't say, but I believe it summons your minion on the same spot as where the Unseven died itself, right? Also, what's also very good, if the enemy decides to dispel this Dying Wish, he will have 1 dispel less to dispel your strong Dying Wish minion. You know what I mean? Imagine if you play Vitruvian and you have Aymara, you can play this. If the enemy doesn't kill it and dispels it, your Aymara is less likely to get dispelled. If your enemy kills this, you have an Aymara on the board for free, like 1 or 2 turns earlier than he would expect, and that's very difficult to deal with. So I think, this is a really great card. You can utilize it well with big Dying Wish minions. So I like it. I'll definitely build some cheesy decks around this. So out of these cards, I like most the legendary one. Then it's the common one, and I think the other 2 are just pretty weak. That's my opinion, at least. Okay. Let's go over to card changes. We've got lots of nerfs. We've had some nerfs. As always, if a card is changed, doesn't matter if buff or a perceived buff or perceived nerf, you always disenchant it. You disenchant it because you will get full spirit value back, spirit value back. And if you want to have it again, you can always craft it and didn't lose anything. Okay, so always disenchant. Sleep a night over those changes, and then later decide on if you want to have it back or not. So let's see the first nerf, and in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know if it's deserved or not. Let's look at the change first. It's the task bar. Instead of 3-3 rush return to your action bar, it's a 2-3 rush. So what this means is the task bar can't kill your enemy's 2-drop for free anymore, or basically nobody plays a 2-2 minion, right? Nobody does that, and the Jaxi is not a free kill. So your taskbar can't kill your enemy's 2-drop for free anymore. It's just a straight nerf. It's not even a perceived nerf. It's just a straight nerf. You have less potential for finishing because 1 damage is important, or maybe with inner focus you deal 2 damage less, which is even more important in a very aggressive, not even a very aggressive deck. It's in any kind of Songhai deck where you want to kill your minion. 2 damage is important, and the reason I say this might not be deserved is Taskbar was very strong, but now I think it's just too weak. It's not on par anymore with the other 2-drops from the other factions. Let's compare it to the Zeal minion from Lionar. It's like that Zealot is a 4-3. Because only rarely you will lose the Zeal buff, and a 4-3 is so much better than a 2-3 because it trades into 3 and 4 mana minions. And what made Taskbar so strong is that you won the early game with that. Now, if you want to win the early game, you have to spend Phoenix Fires, Ghost Lightnings, Twin Strikes, all that kind of stuff. But you have to spend cards. If you used before the taskbar to win the early game and positioned it correctly so your enemy couldn't kill it, you didn't spend card, or you did more. You could remove the minion and deal some face damage. That was why taskbar was so great. And now it can't do that anymore. You don't win the early game. You're weaker in finishing the enemy off. I think this straight nerf was too much. I think a nerf was okay, but like maybe a side nerf. So one player suggested to have like a bad effect when this minion returns to your hand, like a single damage to your general. That was, I think, a very great idea. But like this straight nerf, I think that's just too much. I think I don't know. We will probably still see some taskbars for a while, but I think this nerf was just too strong, too much. Let's move on to Vitruvian. Vitruvian got changed a lot again. Second wish is, instead of drawing 2 cards, +2/+2, and can't be damaged by enemy generals. So you lose one of your million card draws. I think Sion's second wish wasn't even the best card draw you had, and you get a really amazing buff with it. So 2/2 for 2 mana is a great buff, is worth it. Also, it can't be damaged by general. That's very smarky, isn't it? It makes it even more difficult for your enemy general to move, for your enemy in general to remove that minion, because he can't use that general anymore to attack. And if you play Silver Tongue, you know what that means. It's more difficult for your enemy to remove your minion, to remove your Silver Tongue than other 3/3 minions, because he can't use the general anymore. And yeah, I think that's really good in constructed. It should be able to see some play, and in Gauntlet especially. This is just so crazy, because in Gauntlet, using your general to remove is a very foundacious part. It's a very big part, using your general, because it's such a good tool. It's such a good tool to remove enemy minions, and if this can't be damaged anymore by the enemy general, your minion is guaranteed to take some damage from and kill other minions. And I like this change for Gauntlet, at least. In In Constructed, yeah, we will see less card draws, but I think Vitruvian has enough card draw as it is. And we have a third wish change again. I think third wish has been changed 3 or 4 times already, right? It was, first of all, it was give 3 attack to 3 minions, then it was give a friendly minion blast, and then it was give a friendly dervish blast, and now it is give a friendly dervish +3/+3 and flying. Oh man, oh man. So first of all, we already have, as a Vitruvian, we already have tools to give a minion flying, right? Which is Astral Phasing, I think it was 2 or 3 mana, 0/5 and flying. So if you wanted to go flying, if you want to fly away something that is not a dervish, you have to use Astral Phasing. Generally, what do you want to fly away? So first of all, I can think of blast minions that you want to fly away with, and ranged minion, of course, right? Because then it's more difficult for your enemy to approach these, to kill them with your general or with his other minions. So that's when you want to use flying. Do you want to use flying on a dervish, on any dervish? The the Sand Howler is a 3/3. If you buff that, it's a 6/6 flying. It's like a Storm Aratha for 6 mana. Wow, great! Storm Aratha is 6 mana, 6/5 flying. Why would you use 2 cards to get a 1 card minion it has 1 health more? Okay, but why would you do that? If you use Astral Phasing to fly your minion in order to kill a ranged dude, you would, the 5 health is enough, because ranged dudes generally are pretty weak, right? Have low health, and whatever you buff, also it could be whatever you buff, dies to that buffed Astral Phasing minion. You don't have to use a dervish to play Astral Phasing. So what? Okay, the only thing that would be really awesome if they changed Portal Guardian into a dervish. I think then this card would be a great combo, Portal Guardian and Third Wish, because Flying Frenzy is really scary, is really cool. But as of now, giving a dervish flying, yeah, it's just because we already have Astral Phasing that this card seems rather underpowered. It's not as cool, not as great. So I'm a little bit disappointed in this change, and I think it's definitely a nerf. Let's move on, and this is another easy nerf again, Starfire Scarab. Yesterday I had a gauntlet run with 4 Starfire Scarabs, and it went easy 12 wins, because these dudes are just so cool, so strong, right? And now they nerfed it, so it has 1 health less. It is now a Hailstone Golem body, but with Blast. Is Blast worth 1 mana? Definitely. You can bet your ass off it, okay? So if it gets dispelled, your enemy spends at least 1 mana to dispel that. Normally, unless it's Vitruvian, but let's disregard that. He has to spend a Ephemeral Shroud or the Lightbender, and then you still have a Hailstone Golem on the board, which is still really strong. It deals with whatever he's played. It deals with the Shroud. It deals with the Lightbender. So that's still great. And the Blast can generate you so much value. If you even kill a single minion for free with the Starfire Scarab, you just imagine you kill a 2-drop, right? You just had a 3 mana Hailstone Golem. Awesome, right? So I think this nerf doesn't hurt the Starfire Scarab at all. If you played that before, you can still continue to play that. It will get killed slightly easier, but 6 mana is 6 health is still really beefy. So I don't think we will see less play of Starfire Scarab, and especially in Gauntlet, you will still keep seeing Starfire Scarabs. Okay, let's move on to Abyssian. Abyssian, my pet faction, my favorite faction in terms of cosmetics. The Abyssal Juggernaut got changed. It's not a nerf, it's not a buff, it's just a change. Well, you can perceive it any way you want, okay? I see this as a buff, actually. Because Abyssal Juggernaut, what you want to do with it is to kill stuff, right? Even killing a single dude is enough, because Shadow Creep is more or less worth 1 mana, and the body is more or less worth 4 mana. So if you get a single creep, you already got your you paid your Abyssal Juggernaut. The single creep tile paid for this card. And having more attack makes it so it's easier to kill stuff, right? 5 damage and 6 damage is important because many creatures has 6 health. Primus Shield, Dancing Blades, the new Starfire Scarab also has 6 health. So having this one attack more is actually significant. Also, although the Hailstone Golem itself, the other 4-drop, also has 4 health. So with this and your 6 health, with this and your general, you can kill way more stuff and more reliably get the Shadow Creep and more reliably get value out of this card. So I think this is a buff. Let's go to the Reaper of 9 Moons, and we've seen lots of Reapers in lately in Constructed, because this card is just so fun. The random effect where you summon an opponent's minion out of this deck, so you steal his minion and summon it for yourself, is very strong. And it's gotten stronger since the game slowed down, at least in Gauntlet. And also in Constructed, people still play big minions, right? And if you ever get a big minion, you're very happy and you are a good way ahead and you're on your way to win. And this change, reducing 1 health on the Reaper of the 9 Moons, actually is a buff. And that's because you can trigger the Dying Wish easier. Whereas before you had to attack like a 2-drop and another 2-drop, you can now attack a 3-drop or a 4-drop and immediately kill off your Reaper. Immediately, if it trades, most of the time it trades, because 5 attack trades into most of things. It trades, and then you get the value immediately, so you give your enemy less chance to dispel that. And you can use the effect, which is a strong part, a big part of this card. You can get the effect more easily. So this is actually a buff, and not an insignificant buff. I like this change. I dispelled this card nonetheless because you know, full spirit return. So yeah, dispel it, but we will see this card still being played. Let's go over to Diatite Frenzy. Last patch, it got changed from 2 mana into 1 mana, and everybody started using it because this is so amazing, and now it's back to 2 mana. And the reason for that is all those rush minions, right? People suddenly played the cat, not suddenly, but they used the cat and they used the Elucidator to have some really crazy Frenzy combos. Also, Frenzy in general is really nice, because if your enemy plays a minion around or next to his own general, you can be sure that your own minion wouldn't die most of the time if it just attacks the general, and with its attack it can also kill another enemy minion, and then your enemy still has to spend life points to kill your own minion. So Frenzy was really strong. I think this spell is still very strong. I mean, I used Diatite Frenzy when it was 2 mana. I was really happy when it got buffed to 1 mana. I'm not that happy to see it back to 2 mana, but this is still really strong. It just doesn't combo that good anymore, because you have to spend more mana. But if you have a minion on board, your enemy plays something, you can still apply Diatite Frenzy and get good trades. Your enemy still has to play around that card. And you too, by the way. Finally, we have Vanna for the last faction, And Mesmerize got changed. Mesmerize was 1 mana, your opponent's minions cost 1 mana more. So it's like an Archon Spellbinder for minions, but as a spell and only 1 turn. That's why it saw no play. And now it is move an enemy minion or general 1 space. 1 space. Okay. This has many components. Let's look at the minion part first. Normally, if you want to move a minion as Venna, you had to use Repulsor Beast, basically. Repulsor Beast, 3 mana, 2/2, move a nearby minion anywhere. So you basically pay 1 mana, because the 2/2 body is 2 mana, you pay 1 mana to move a minion everywhere you want to. And it's stricter because it has to be a nearby minion, but that's not too difficult to fulfill. And you can move it anywhere you want. So Repulsor Beast definitely beats Mesmerize if you want to move minions. No question asked. The thing that makes this card unique is that you can move the enemy general. The only card right now that moves enemy generals is Pado, which is a 7 mana and moves it randomly. And this card can move the enemy general for 1 space. I don't know, man. It's cool if you get this card and can mess up the enemy's positioning, but Venna isn't that dependent on positioning, right? They don't have Frenzy, they don't have Blast, they don't have they don't have those really positioning dependent things. Maybe Dancing Blades. That's cool if you can move your if you can move your enemy's general away and then Dancing Blast whatever he was protecting. That would be cool. It would be cool if you could move him into your own side and use Avalanche. But that's like avalanching a single dude. That's, I don't know. I wouldn't say that's worth it just to avalanche an enemy general. And I'd say only the general, because if the enemy is playing around avalanche, he won't have other things on your side, right? And then you can move 1 dude, his general, onto that avalanche. Maybe a clutch finisher, but I don't know. And it has some synergies with Fae Bloodwing's Bloodborn spell, which is deal 2 damage to all enemies in your enemy general's column. So you could move your general and move it in the same column like an enemy minion, use the Bloodborn spell. That would be 2 mana, 2 damage to 2 units. I don't know. I don't know. If this was a Songhai spell, this would be amazing, because you could move away whatever he's using to block the back and use backstab on that. That would be amazing. If it was Magma, it would be amazing, because you could mess up his position and use your frenzy to full value. If it was even Lionite, would be amazing with Holy Immolation, right? But like this only synergizes well with Aspect of the Mountains. And Aspect of the Mountains, yeah, it's great, but you have to have, it's great, but it's very difficult to really make use of this card. So, yeah. I think it's an interesting change, but I don't think it's strong enough to really see some plays. Okay, let's move on to the neutral cards, shall we? First would be Dreamgazer. Disenchant this card. It's now, instead of a 2 mana 2/2, a 1 mana 1/1 with the same effect though. So if you really want to play the swarmy kind of play, if you really have many buffs in your deck, you can still play that. It's just it was so strong because you get this more or less for free, right? If you can replace this card, it reads 0 mana, 1/1, draw a card, take 2 damage on your general. And at the start of the game, or any time in the game actually, it's pretty good. It was pretty good. But now it's only a 1 damage ping, 1 damage, and your general kills, your enemy's general kills that for 1 damage on him. So you draw a card, you take 1 damage, you take 1 damage more than your enemy general. I don't know. some people really are fond of this card, but I think 1/1 stats just really isn't worth it anymore. Unless you play aggressive, of course, and you want to reduce your cards, reduce your deck size. Then yeah, you can still use that for the purpose of reducing your deck size, and you just get less bang for your buck. So yeah, I'd rather the game moves on from those aggressive style and be more slow. And the slower the game is, I think the less useful the Dream Gazer will be. And of course, this card is really bad against Cassiva. Cassiva just kills that for free and gets a free shadow tile. So yeah, yeah. I think yeah. Let's just move on. Mana Forger, yeah, I don't think this is a real change. Also, I just checked, if you disenchant that, you don't get full value. So don't disenchant this card unless you are really starved for spirit. It's just it's restricted. So with this card, you can't play your Bloodborn spell for free. I think the devs just want to balance the Bloodborn spell to always cost 1 mana. So whatever. Let's just move on. Saberspine Tiger change got reverted. Instead of it was 3/2, it got changed to 4/1 last patch, and it's back to 3/2 again. Yeah, it still does the same thing. It just does it worse. Although it gained utility in another case though. So first of all, Saberspine was used in patch 62, 61 as a finisher. If you had 2 of those, it was 8 damage. With your general, it was 10 damage. That's a huge chunk of damage. Now, if you have 2 and use the general, it's only 8 damage. That's significant, as I described in the Tusk Boar before. Also, you can't remove 6 mana, 6 health minions with your general and this card anymore. That's a lot worse. What became better though is removing ranged dudes, removing all those mini jaxes, because it survives after killing a mini jax. That can be important, because you could go on and kill another minion or deal some face damage. That can be important. It's just a fringe case though. There aren't that many one attack minions. I think it's only Value Hunter and mini jax. Maybe Dream Gazer if your enemy still plays Dream Gazer. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's very sad to see it go back again. But I think it's good, because we will see less aggressive decks now. And Songweaver already got changed. It just got changed a patch ago, or 2 patches ago, where it gave a friendly minion +1/+1 and flying. Now it has more stats on the body and gives another friendly minion +1/+1 still, but without flying. I think it was pretty broken, giving a minion flying in every deck, right? Because more or less every deck used this one, because this is a neutral card. It was so you could set up a big dude somewhere, give it flying, and go to face. And we saw many Song highs with Sunsteel Defender and gave it flying and just crushed your face. And we can't have that anymore, unfortunately. So the new card is 3 mana for 4/4 worth of stats. I think that's more than the Golem. The Golem is 4/3, so you gain more stat value out of this. And if it's distributed, imagine you're playing ranged minion and you can give your ranged minion that survived even more stats, so it's even more difficult to kill them. I think that's still okay. If you play this style where you have ranged and blast minions and buff those dudes and have a quite nice body with it, I think that's still okay. I think especially in factions that lack good 3-drops, I think that's still okay. So it's not as strong anymore as before. But then again, this body cannot be free killed by the enemy general anymore. We have to keep that in mind. It's not just losing the flying ability on your dude. So if you want to play ranged, this is your guy. And we have the Primus Fist nerf. Yeah, instead of a permanent 2 attack buff, it's only this turn. So what this means is you can't pre-buff anymore. You can't protect your Lantern Foxes from Zenrui anymore, for example, or any other 1 and 2 attack minions. You can't protect them using this card from Zenrui's, and you can't pre-buff your ranged minions anymore. It still has the same functionality if you want to have some valuable and favorable traits. If you have a minion on board, the enemy has a slightly bigger minion, you can play the Primus Fist, use your slightly smaller minion to kill the slightly bigger minion. That's still okay. So if you primarily use Primus Fist in that scenario, it's more or less just as good. However, what this one was used was to pre-buff your minions to avoid Plasma Storm, to avoid Zenrui's, to avoid Knights or Assassins, and to just be big threats, to have big threats on the board. So yeah, I guess we will see slightly less play with Primus Fist, but if ranged minion really takes off, I think we will still see that, because just being able to make one valuable trade is already really great if you play a ranged minion deck, because that just snowballs. If you have like turn 1 Value Hunter, turn 2 Primus Fist, and kill his turn 2, he has to play a turn 3, and you can use the Primus Fist body and the ranged minion and your general to kill the 3 minion, to kill the 3 mana minion, and then play something on your own. It just snowballs, and so less good in pre-buffing, but still as good in getting favorable traits. Sunsteel Defender, I think, got crushed by the nerf hammer. It was 5 mana, 5/1 celerity force field, and yeah, the celerity was the part where it was really broken, because you could combine it with any kind of flying or any kind of increased movement to attack, run away, next turn attack again, run away, to get more or less infinite value, or play that, buff it, 20 damage in 1 turn, easy peasy, have a good... so this was more or less the return of the Lantern Fox, and it was great in Gauntlet if you could combine it with Songweaver for the huge value. Now it's only 4 mana, 4/3, and Force Field. So if we compare it to the Golem, which is 4 mana, 4/6, and no Force Field, we have to think: is the Force Field worth 3 health? Could be, more or less. Yeah, I think so. Because if the enemy wants to attack it using his general, that's already 2 health, and then he has to use another dude with 3 health, so it's at least 2 health, right? Unless he has pings, but then he spends resources, and then we're fine with this trade. But if he just uses his general, that's at least 2 health with the force field, and if you can use it aggressively, that's way much more health. So if you use it to attack your enemy's Hailstone Golem, you can kill it, which would soak up 4 damage, and then you could kill the Hailstone Golem with your enemy with your own general, and then it's back to full health again, and then that would be really valuable. So I think it's still worth it if you ever have to choose between Sunsteel Defender and the Hailstone Golem. I think this card is still on par with it, especially since it benefits much more from buffs than the Hailstone Golem. However, this is not what the card has been used for. People didn't use this card instead of Hailstone Golem, but as its own kind of thing, and that's completely lost. That's completely not possible anymore. and most decks will find better 4-drops than the Hailstone Golem. They will use some other kind of utility. So this card has lost basically all of its value in Constructed, but has gained lots of value in Gauntlet. That's my opinion. But I'm actually pretty sure about that. Captain Hank Hart. Yeah, instead of 5 mana, 2 mana. I don't know. If your enemy if your ranged minions take damage, most of the time it's already dead. So healing a ranged minion is so insignificant. And if you want to play a 4 mana ranged minion, you definitely want to play the Arrow Whistler, right? Because then you're playing a ranged deck, and then you want to buff your other ranged decks. So no, Captain Hank Hart, I'm very sorry, but you're still a no-go card. The Altars got a random buff, 5/3, same effect. It was pretty bad before because it was a free kill for the enemy general, and unless you played Lionar, that 0/10 provoke body wasn't that useful. And now it's gotten more difficult to kill. Yeah, whatever. I still don't think we will see this card back, and not even Lionar in Constructed played this card because there are better 4-drops, better big bodied minion to use your Divine Bonds on. This is still no, don't use that. Arcane Spellbinder it's got really nerfed. It's got a straight nerf. Instead of 7/9, it's a 7/7 now. Losing 2 health is important, is actually relevant. So you need 1 minion less or 1 2-drop less to trade into that, and it now dies to Aspect of the Mountain plus general hit. It dies to attack plus Holy Immolation much more easily now. Or Holy Immolation and attack, because most things you attack into there will die. Also, it doesn't trade into other Archons anymore. Before you could attack your enemies, Archon Spellbinder, use your general, and it's dead. But now you can't anymore because it just dies. So that's a straight nerf. And your opponent's spells cost 1 more. That didn't got changed. It's just that, as the same with Mana Forger, you still can't get a discount on your Bloodborn spells. Oh, no, it still does not affect Bloodborn spells. Your Bloodborn spells will always, you can be sure of that, you can rely on that, at least as of now, that it will only cost 1 mana. So if you use that for the effect, I think that's still okay. However, we don't use it only for the effect anymore, right? We use it because it was such a good body, because 9 health is really difficult to remove, and it has the bonus of the effect. When Spellheim was really powerful, people used it for the effect and gained the body. But now we use the body and gain the effect. And is the effect worth 1/1 in terms of stats compared to the Golem? If you're really afraid of spells, I mean, yeah, I think if you're like me and like disrupting your enemy, and if you want to prevent, for example, a Dominate Will on the next turn, it's still okay. And if you want to prevent some spell combos, it's still fine. It's just not as good anymore. I think in Gauntlet, if I'm offered this 6-drop and another 6 legendary drop, I think it's not an auto pick anymore in Gauntlet as it was before. Yeah. We will see. Especially because in Gauntlet, spells don't matter that much, and you would rather have an 8/8 than a 7/7 with a spell prevention. So in Gauntlet, this is nerfed. In Constructed, it's also nerfed, of course, but not as hard, because you can still, the spell part still is valuable. Alright, that's it. It has been quite long again. Oh my god, I keep on rambling. I should stop that, especially since the other video is also nearly as long as this one. I hope I could convey my feelings and opinions of these new changes. I hope you will have lots of fun trying out those new Bloodborne spells. I know I definitely will. They will be changing the duelist meta for quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, feel free to share, feel free to show the video to your friends who might like it. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, have fun!